I absolutely love Scottish whisky. I've got no idea how it's made. So I've come to this distillery to find out how it's done. So what's the official process? Well, it's malting, then it's mashing, then it's fermentation, then it's distilling, and then storage, or maturation. Malting is the process of steeping, germinating and drying a grain to convert it to malt. Germination and sprouting involve a number of enzymes to produce the changes from seed to seedling, and the malt producer stops this stage of the process when the required enzymes are optimal. So after we've tricked the barley into thinking that it's springtime, it's then taken to the distillery, through the intake pipe, into the malt bins, and then the malt bins head through to the mill room. The dried malt's then ground down, usually in most Scottish distilleries by a Porteous mill. But the funny thing about Porteous, and the story that every tour guide will tell you about Porteous mills, is that they were so well made that they went out of business because they never needed repaired. The grist, which is a type of coarse flour, is then mixed with hot water in what's called a mash tun. Water is then added in 3 stages, and the water gets hotter in each stage. The first water is around about 65, and then by the third wash it's nearer 90. The mash is then stirred by large rods called rakes or paddles inside the mash tun, which helps convert starches to sugar. After the mashing process, the liquid is then known as wort. Once the wort's cooled, it's then transferred to washbacks. The washbacks are very tall wooden vessels, but for consistency of decent liquid and less repair costs and faff, they're sometimes made from stainless steel. The wort has yeast added to it, which is then naturally occurring sugars are then eaten by the yeast, which produces alcohol, and then within the yeast and barley strains, the flavour compounds can influence the taste. After about 2 days, the fermentation stops, and this is where wort becomes wash. The wash is distilled twice. Usually distilleries have a wash still and then a spirit still. So it goes through the wash still first, gets all the impurities out of it that might be hanging around, then it goes into the spirit still. The spirit safe is a big case where the spouts of the stills tail off into receivers. From the spirit's receiver, there's a channel which leads to the filling room, and in the filling room, the casks are filled, almost automatically now, and some are still done by hand using giant hoses and taps. Some operate and fill automatically using filling systems. It allows less user error and accurate levels of distribution of spirit within the cask. Believe it or not, but whiskey is actually colourless when it's first distilled. And when it's first distilled, it's called new make. It's only after that first 3 years in the cask it's called whiskey. The colour, in my opinion, should always be natural. Some companies will add tasteless caramel colouring to enhance a visual aspect of the liquid, but I feel that that's a dishonest practice. After filling, the cask sits in a bonded warehouse on site for 3 years minimum to be bottled at a later date. After 3 magical years, Scotch whisky is ready to be bottled. Casks will naturally have debris and chunks from inside the cask fall away, so these impurities need to be sieved out. The cask is run along rails until the bung hole sits above a receiver. The receiver then goes to a vat, which is then attached to a machine, which fills the bottles on a conveyor belt. And this is the finished product. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe so that we can continue to bring you more videos like this. I'm going to go and have a drink of this now.